Welcome to Renu's Englishpedia. Before I start the video, I would like to apologize for not posting videos for such a long time. I know, I'm sorry, and I'll try and be punctual and regular in the future. Today we are going to discuss the poem A Roadside Stand, written by Robert Frost from the book Flamingo. Robert Frost was an acclaimed American poet. He was born on January 26, 1874, in San Francisco in the USA, and he died on January 21st, 1963, in Boston, USA. His other famous works are Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, Birches, Mending Walls, The Road Not Taken, Fire and Ice, Desert Places, A Patch of Old Snow, and A Soldier. His style of writing is simplistic, insightful, symbolic, and narrative. He has the art of visualizing forms and uses simple words and short stanzas. The tone of the poet in this poem is sympathetic towards the owners of the roadside stand. He feels angry towards the city people and disgust towards the people in power or the politicians. The poem, through the owner of the roadside stand, reflects upon the life of people who are deprived and mindlessly ignored by the city bred people. The owner wants to be accepted by the city people even if they don't buy anything from his stand. The poet also points out that growth and development are unequal in cities and villages, which is why people in the villages tend to remain dissatisfied and unhappy as well. The poem is a contrast between the haves and the have nots of the cities and the villages. The desire of villagers to lead a better life is a prominent theme of this poem. The indifference of the city people to the plight of the poor farmers and lack of empathy for them is a related theme. Another very important theme is the belief that the development of both, that is, the city and the village, will be beneficial for all. This poem is a realistic depiction of rural life. It touches upon several difficult social themes of the time. That is, the plight of the deprived villagers is highlighted, the plead for some city money to lead a prosperous life, and the fact that the city folks treat these villagers without empathy. Now let us read the poem stanza wise, followed by explanation for each stanza. The little old house was out with a little new shed in front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. A roadside stand that too pathetically pled, it would not be fair to say, for a dole of bread, but for some of the city money, the cash whose flow supports the flowers of cities from sinking and withering faint. In this stanza, the poet is informing us that the occupants of the little old house have extended the shed in front of their house at the edge of the road where the traffic is passing by. The shed is in a broken down condition. The shack owners do not want charity or money for their survival. What they want is a little city money, the money that is being spent on flowers. Flowers indicate something trivial, something not very important, something that is only there for an extravagance. It is not meant for the survival. They want to earn this money by selling their homegrown products or the farm produce. In the second stanza, the poet says, the polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts, at having the landscape marred with the artless paint, of signs with S turned wrong and N turned wrong. Offered for sale are wild berries in wooden quarts, or crook-necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rest in a mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why, keep your money, this angrily, and go along. The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint, so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. In this stanza, the poet has divided it into three parts. The first part is talking about the traffic which is passing and which is angry with the villagers because they feel that the villagers with their roadside stand have destroyed the landscape or they are pointing the wrong directions. Over here, the word aside means that if they ever give a thought to the villagers. So, that is the first part of the stanza. The second part is talking about what the villagers are offering the city people. They are offering wild berries in wooden quarts, they are offering golden squash and silver worts. These are two different kinds of vegetables, and they are offering a beautiful scenery. The third part is the anger of the villagers who see that these city people are not stopping at the roadside stand. And in a fit of anger, they are saying that if they don't want to give them any money, then they can keep that money. They don't need it. And finally, the writer, the poet, is talking about his feelings regarding this selfishness of the city people. He says that the hurt to the scenery, that is, the destroying of the scenery by the roadside stand, is not his sorrow, as the sorrow of the trust that has been betrayed by the city people when they do not offer any help to the village folks. In the third stanza, the poet says, here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our being expand and give us the life of the moving pictures promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. When the poet says, and ask for some city money to feel in hand, basically he's talking about the fact that they want to increase their income. They want to feel the city money. In the lines when he says to try, if it will not make our being expand, the poet wants to say that this money will enable to make their life a little easier or better, to allow them to experience the life that is being shown in the movies. And in the next two lines, and give us the life of the moving pictures promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. Over here, he feels that this life is being kept from them by the ruling political power. The next four lines in the poem are, it is in the news that these pitiful kin are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in, to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore. These four lines talk about the promise being made to the owners of the roadside stand. The poet quotes that it is in the news that the poor villagers will be relocated to places near to the theatres and the convenience stores. They have been promised care by the people, that is, the civic authorities or the politicians. They have been further promised that their land will be bought for development and they will be provided with good prices for it. They will not have to worry about their future anymore. But these are all false promises, as is conveyed by the next stanza. While greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits, and by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroying their sleeping at night the ancient way. According to the poet, all these promises are false. The authorities pretend to help, but they are actually greedy. They appear to benefit society, but in reality, they prey upon the poor villagers. They force benefits upon the villagers, and these benefits give a false sense of security to them. These benefits actually benefit the civic authorities. The civic authorities soothe them and fool them by their false promises. Thus, the civic authorities sleep peacefully, but the villagers lose their sleep as they have lost their land, their means of income. They become anxious and lose their peaceful sleep as they have not worked during the day. They are unable to sleep at night also. In the next stanza, the poet's frustration at being unable to alleviate the pain of the roadside stand owners is clearly visible. He says, "Sometimes I feel myself, I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer, for the squeal of brakes, the sound of a stopping car, of all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are, and one did stop, but only to plough up grass, in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound, and another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't, this crossly. They had none, didn't it see? The poet in this stanza is unable to bear the pain of the villagers. He considers the desire for the city people to stop and buy their wares, that is, to empathize with them, as childish as it will never be fulfilled. The city people will never stop and buy anything from the roadside stand. The villagers are sad and continuously hovering near the open window. Hovering means to stay near the open window. They pray the whole day for some sympathetic soul to stop and buy their wares, and for the sound of brakes, which would indicate some customer who would at least inquire about the price. The poet considers the city folk to be selfish. He further portrays their selfishness by showing that some cars did stop, but only to back up and to go around, and in this process they also uprooted the grass. Some of them wanted to know where the road led to, and another wanted to know if the roadside stand owners had any petrol, that is, gas, to sell. These city people are unaware of the actual plight of the villagers and the difference that exists in the city and the rural life. This annoyed the poet, who lashed out angrily, saying that they had no gas, and couldn't the city people see this with the eyes that they have? In the last stanza, the poet says, "No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found, or so the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And then, next day, as I come back into the scene, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain." In this stanza, the poet clarifies that the reason for their agony means pain, is the income of the villagers, which is not sufficient to raise their spirits. Requisite over here means the necessary condition. Country money refers to the money that the villagers are able to earn, and country gain refers to the things that they are able to buy with that limited amount of money. The money that they have does not provide them a good standard of living. This helplessness of the villagers gives rise to the desire in the poet to put them out of the pain in one stroke, that is, complete the job in one go. He believes that such an action would be a great relief for him. But when he contemplates such an action, his rational mind arrives at the conclusion that it would be very demeaning for the villagers. He realizes that if he were in the same condition, he too would feel a loss of self respect to accept any charity or help. He desires for a gentler way to put them out of their pain, a way that would not result in loss of self respect. With this, we come to the end of the poem. The rhyme scheme of this poem is inconsistent. Inconsistent means that every stanza has its own rhyme scheme. I hope you all know how to understand the rhyme scheme. If not, you can comment at the end of the video and I will give you an explanation in another video. The literary devices used in this poem are personification in the line pathetically pled. Personification means when a writer gives a human quality to a non living thing or object. The second literary device used is transfer the epithet in the line polish traffic. In transferred epithet, we transfer an adjective, epithet means an adjective, from its rightful place to another closely associated with it. Here, it is not the traffic which is polished, but the people, the city people who are sitting inside the cars. Therefore, the traffic is referred to as polished. The next literary device is metaphor. Metaphor means comparison between two different objects but without using the words as and like. In this literary device, one thing is said to be another thing, not to be like another thing, but to be another thing. Over here, the metaphor is trusting sorrow. Another literary device used is oxymoron and alliteration in the lines beneficent beasts of prey and greedy good doers. Oxymoron is a literary device in which two opposites are conveyed in the same phrase and both the opposites are true with reference to the thing that they are describing. Beneficent beasts, beneficent is good and beast means animal like, and they are referring to the politicians who appear to do good but are actually preying upon the villagers. Similarly, greedy good doers, these good doers are supposed to do good things but they are being greedy. So, therefore, there is oxymoron or contrast in the phrase. Alliteration refers to a literary device which has the same sound. When words, different words, have the same sound, they do not start with the same alphabet necessarily, but they need to have the same sound. Then we say that there is alliteration. In beneficent beast, the b sound is repeated, and in greedy and good, the g sound is repeated. Again, there is personification in the line, the sadness that lurks near the open window. Lurking is a human quality which has been given to an inanimate idea, that is sadness. Sadness is said to be hovering near the open window. Finally, we can see transferred epithet and the literary device hyperbole in the phrase thousand selfish cars. Selfish doesn't refer to the cars but to the people sitting inside the cars, and there is hyperbole in thousand selfish cars because not thousand cars are passing near the roadside stand, it's just a few. But in order to emphasize them, they have exaggerated the statement, and thus the literary device hyperbole has been used. With this, I come to the end of the video. I hope that you all liked it and would be encouraged to share it with your friends. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as I really need encouragement this provides. Also, do not forget to press the bell notification, as I am going to come up with several videos which will help you to revise and achieve your desired grades in the forthcoming board examination. Thank you so much.